Minasan konnichiwa. Today we are talking about something that's been on my mind a little bit. It's about if foreigners are ruining Japan. Now, I personally feel like it's a bit of a yes and a bit of a no. Obviously, a lot of the tourism is great for Japan because they are having their yen increased, and that is just amazing. I'm so happy that us foreigners are going to Japan and we're helping them. It feels so great to me. I'm even going to Japan myself in October, by the way, so I'm super excited. But I am fully aware that there is a bad side too. We are having a lot of people who look at Japan aesthetically and only care about the aesthetic of Japan. They don't really care about its culture. They don't really care about the rules and regulations, and they sure as heck don't care about the people. So it has become an issue. And I know the Japanese government has been trying their darnest to figure out how to solve this problem, but they've been doing a terrible job. They've been doing a terrible job. But I also understand this is a problem that is not so simple. And this is also a problem that they didn't really have to deal with. And so a lot of the stuff that's been going on, they're trying to figure out and wrap around their heads, what should we do? Because we don't want to run off the foreigners because they're helping our yen, but we don't want this to get out of control. So they've been doing a lot of silly stuff to try to solve this issue, and they just don't have their heads on straight right now. We are going to watch this video that is over tourism in Japan, and it's by some creators that I really enjoy. They are creators that have inspired me to even be a YouTube creator overall. especially Joey. Joey is somebody that I grew up on watching. I love the anime man content, and he's always brought great joy in my life. So I do want to share this little bit of clip from the podcast about how they feel about the over tourism.
Yeah.
Well, Japan, they like being harsh on everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they'll be very harsh on some things. You know, like they'll go, oh, like, you know, I mean, obviously
The
with all
silliness.
the stuff that made the rounds is all the tourist stuff. They'll pick the most extreme solution to mundane problems.
Yeah.
And then when there's actually a problem, they'll be like, shogunai ne.
No, what they
Because
do,
it's too difficult to tackle.
Have you seen the guy who was at the Hachiko statue with like the massive sign?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Kai, can you put it up?
Which one?
Search up. So there was this guy who was apparently standing outside of Hachiko statue with a massive sign for tourists.
Okay.
With just like do's and don'ts, and this is like you know when you like
It was the one second row third.
that one.
That one?
Yeah. This is like going through the terms and conditions.
Look how big this is.
Look at this.
welcome to Japan, but zombie traveler proliferation alert.
Oh my god.
Stop forcing English. Japanese people also have privacy.
You are a pervert and a stalker.
What are you guys doing? Kabukicho is not a place for sightseeing.
This is obviously bad. But you gotta understand, even though this is a silly thing to do, they don't know what to do. The people don't even know what to do themselves. They're not used to all these people, so they're trying to figure out, how can I get these foreigners to stop disturbing everybody, to stop doing terrible things? What can we do? They're trying to figure it out, but it's resulting in this for some reason. And I just feel so bad, man. They don't know what to do, man.
Yes, it is. Don't wander around with a can of alcohol.
Bro, you look at some of this and you're like, have you seen your salary, man?
Do not carelessly enter entertainment facilities and game halls managed by adult entertainment businesses. Why? They're there for a reason. You can live without a trash can on the street corner. Okay, I mean, I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Is it okay for you to be there? Japanese trains are a meditation space. Okay, look, I get...
No, my favorite part is right at the bottom. Japan travel tips. Hearts.
Anyway, after all of those, here's some places I recommend. Okay, look, I get there's a part of me, I'm looking at this from both sides. I get the whole thing of, okay, it is true, there are a ton of tourists in Japan that are being
most definitely.
absolute shitheads,
Most
right? Like
definitely,
being completely disrespectful,
Definitely.
not realizing that there are different,
And I feel like we are not speaking about that enough. Like, I know Japan is being very silly, or the Japanese government is being very silly, but I feel like we also are not talking about it enough of how much this is affecting them and how much this is hurting them. We're steady trying to give Japan the opinions of what we feel like is the best way to regulate, instead of also telling the foreigners or speaking to the foreigners or spreading the message to the foreigners that we need to do better. We do need to do better. And I know it's a hard task, but we got to start speaking up about it, man.
Ethical rules for different countries and stuff like that. And then on the other side of the coin, you get people like this who are trying to send that kind of encouraging message to not be a dickhead to these tourists, but just doing it in the worst way possible that just makes them look like dickheads. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think it's insane just to see how big of a boom in tourism that Japan has gotten, to the point where it's just like, I don't know if the infrastructure is like prepared for it, especially a city like Kyoto.
It's not even just the infrastructure. It's everything. Like the people can't even handle it.
Which,
oh my god, yeah.
Well, they had the what was it?
They shut down. They had to shut down the.
The Gyoen Dori. They had to shut that down.
I just think, oh man, it's so weird. I like the whole Fuji debacle was
the wall that they
was
made.
like.
Do you want to explain for anyone? Who
Yeah,
doesn't
so
know?
there was a Lawson's people kept taking pictures of because it looks cool. It looks like Japan. There's a Fuji and a Lawson's.
Yeah,
and there was a whole conversation around like, why are they doing this? You know, why are tourists so stupid? Why are they turning up and taking pictures? And then when you actually like look, when you actually like have a think as to what's going on here. So what all of these articles and all of these discussions and everything, and even like YouTubers talk about it, didn't include was that like, so this Lawson's, right? The reason why people were flocking to this Lawson in particular, and it was such a problem, is because about, I don't know, 50 meters east of it is literally where all of the buses, the train stations, all of them stop.
Yeah.
That's where they end.
Yeah.
So obviously, when they get off a bus ride or a train ride, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the fucking Konbini.
Yeah.
And you see Fuji in a Konbini, you can take a picture. People, they made it seem like people were like going out of their way to come to this Lawson's. To take pictures and be a nuisance. It's like, no, you had...
Although I will agree with Connor, I will say there are probably some people who are dickheads that are trying to do that. There are some people that are trying to take that whole bus or train ride, and they purposely go to that specific Lawson's because they know that Lawson's are there with that mountain. And the aesthetic of that is so cool because you have to look at it too. It's like a store surrounded by a little bit of like what it looks like nature, and you have this big mountain behind it. Isn't that so cool? You telling me I wouldn't try to take the station or bus all the way to the end to go there? Like, come on, there's some people that definitely have done that for that specific reason. Now, I know that there are some people that are just being dropped off there and they just want to go to the store. But come on now. If you're telling me nobody has thought of it, please. Especially when it's trended. When it's trending. Come on.
All of the train stations and all the buses stop here. That's why people are taking photos. And then why would you think the solution is to then try and cover up with this shit piece of tar that cost locals 1 million yen, $8,000? Why was that the solution? Turn it in, try and manage it, try and make money from this. If tourists are going to do this, find a way to then monetize this. Find a way to kind of regulate it.
Yeah.
People are going to take advantage of it, no matter what you're doing.
Well, it's just like, how do you regulate it? How, like, you can't... It's
that's the thing. Nobody knows how to regulate it. Everybody is telling Japan is doing this wrong or this wrong, but nobody is giving a correct solution. What is the solution? Can somebody tell me what the solution to this problem is? Or is this even a problem that they should solve? That's the thing. That is the funny thing to me.
It's a balancing act, right? Because right now there is just like so many tourists in Japan to the point where it's weird to think that Japan has kind of become, because of the exchange rate, it's kind of become like a cheap holiday now comparatively. If you can afford if you can afford the ticket, then comparatively to a lot of like European holidays, especially, it's just become a cheap holiday destination.
That reminds me of the foreign price changes that are happening now. If you're from outside of Japan, which how would they know? You know how they would figure or think that you are outside of Japan based off of your race or how you look. They're gonna give you those foreigner prices instead of the regular Japanese prices. Like, oh my God, like, please no.
Destination, and you know, you get tourists coming in that come in knowing that it's a cheap holiday destination, but the service that they get is not cheap at all.
Yeah.
It's like premium. This is, you know, you normally pay a premium for the services you get in Japan. So you just have this situation where because of the situation, so many people are flooding in to a point where I don't think Japan has ever had this many tourists flood in a single time before.
Oh no.
And they're just not prepared for it. They're not prepared to handle this many people.
Which, you know, which is ironic as well, because, you know, they were certainly prepared for it before the Olympics got cancelled.
Well,
and then they were like, well, that's never going to happen again. And then it happened.
And then it happened.
I think the thing is, like, the businesses and the government were like, we want tourism. But then obviously, like, the day-to-day people who are around it are like, well, I don't really want that many tourists.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of like a disconnect between businesses that want to make money and governments that want to make money, and then the local people who are like, I just kind of want to work, but
Yeah.
it's like it's a lot to deal with. But this one, I don't know. I just felt like this was the worst solution of all.
Oh, no, 100%.
This was like, because not
Definitely wasn't a good solution.
only did it not work, it made a huge spectacle about it, attracting more tourists. Right? When I
Because
feel
now
like,
they're coming to see the wall.
now they're coming to like go to the place where all this drama's happening.
Yeah.
I just felt like
That
and
definitely did not help either.
time and time again, Japan always choose the option of like destroying or getting rid of the thing, as opposed to like maybe taking advantage of it. There was like I remember Chris was telling me about, there was like a tree somewhere in Hokkaido. There's one tree in the middle of a field that looked amazing to take photos with. And I guess to get to the tree, I think occasionally people were going over like, I think it was like private property.
Right.
And the solution was, what do you think the solution was for the Japanese?
Cut the tree
Cut
down.
the tree down.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is like, what a way. Like if this was the UK, they would have made a fucking line. They would have had like a stall there. They would have had a guy who like you pay to take pictures.
Yeah.
Like they would have like there would be opportunistic people who would be willing to take advantage of this.
Do you think Japan, the Japanese culture want that though? Because
That's the thing.
Yeah, but if your culture's getting it, regardless, like you would have to completely.
Yeah, because they have, it seems like where it's a mindset of like, we want it this way or it's just not going to happen. We don't want your solution of how to, we want to cut it off and just be like, hey, if we can't have it this way, we're just going to get rid of it. That's what it seems like.
Close the borders again.
Yeah.
You are going to get this. It's not whether you want it or not. People are going to show up at a Lawson's.
It's a
You can
conflict
either
of
sit here and complain about it, put up expensive walls that don't work, or you can find a way to work around it and make it easier to manage these tourists that are inevitably going to come. We can't undo the clock. We can't say like we don't want tourists. They're coming.
It's a conflict of interest, right? Because in the case with, say, like, you know, Fuji Kawaguchiko, which is where the Lawson thing is, right? You know, the local government is looking at like the amount of money that's coming into the country through tourism and is going like, oh, this is great. We're getting a lot of money. Like, it's helping us to, like, you know, grow the town out. And, you know, this is income that we haven't seen ever since before the pandemic. So this is awesome. But then there's a conflict of interest of the people who live there who are like, no, I just want to be
Hoyoverse. What in the world?
fucking peaceful. I don't really need it. Like, yeah, the extra money is cool, but now I'm tossed up between like, do I struggle to get customers but also not have to deal with foreigners, or deal with foreigners and get the money?
Well, I think the problem is we've seen this cycle of like the tourism cycle so many times before. And it's like the real question is is the money going to the government, or is it actually going to the local people and the local businesses? Because there's so many examples like right now where like Hawaii, for example, where tourism made a big boom to this place, put the prices up, and then you're getting to a point where like even locals can't afford to live there anymore just because everything's become so inflated.
God, yeah, that's such a drawback too. Once like the place gets filled with like people who weren't, from there, it tends to be more expensive because those people bring in more attention to the place, and then they bring in more money, and so prices and sales of things just go up. So that does tend to happen. He was right in that analogy. I do want to kind of end it here. I wanted to watch at least like almost half of it. I am going to put it down in the link below if you guys want to finish watching it. But yeah, I just wanted to like overall just talk about it because I thought it was something that is really prevalent right now and something that I wanted to bring light to. I don't know what Japan personally could do about this issue. I think the point for me is I did want to tell other people who maybe are not from Japan and who are foreigners to please be mindful when you go to Japan. I think that's the whole point of this video. Like not everybody obviously is trying to ruin Japan, or not all foreigners are ruining Japan. A lot of them are trying to help and spend their money and increase the yen, and also just enjoy themselves and not cause destruction. But for those who are, man, they're making it tough for us. They're making it really, really tough. So please, if you're going to Japan, be respectful, be mindful, and just know that you're going there for a reason, and that's for a different experience. That's because it's a different environment. So please don't bring your baggage to Japan. That's all I wanted to really say on my part. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Mata ne.